Why would a Spartan do that?
I don't know.
Well, that's what us fans were asking throughout the first season of Halo. Hello and welcome to HateWatchers. Today we're bringing you another entry into the How They Tried to Trick Us video series, as we break down exactly how Halo tried to pull one over on fans and how successful they were. So as you can tell, for those who are new to the channel, this isn't just your average review video where we take our turn at beating the dead horse that is the Halo show. No. Our goal here is to focus on what tricks the creators of the show tried to employ in order to get fans tuning in, to keep them watching, to generate buzz around the show, or to get them rating the show higher than it actually deserves. In previous How They Tried to Trick Us videos, we've explored how the Rings of Power weaponized nostalgia, how the Book of Boba Fett completely Disneyfied an OG legacy character, and how Blood Origin hijacked the Witcher brand. And perhaps no show is more fit for the How They Tried to Trick Us treatment than Halo, as the show's creators utilized each of those same tricks we just mentioned in their own series, plus a few new tricks. But we want to reiterate that this video is not here to discuss each and every problem in Halo worth critiquing. So while we may touch on them during the course of our investigation, we're not here today to focus on the cheap CGI, the awful characters, the cheap look and feel to the props, the morals of Master Chief sleeping with an imprisoned enemy combatant, Master Chief sleeping with anyone, the Covenant answering to some human chick, how she rose to that position, Miranda Keyes' resume being far too long for her age, the Covenant chick's dumb fingernail energy sword, the lack of likable characters, the often goofy looking action, Quan, the thousands of questions we have that we don't even want answered, and Cortana looking goofy. And for production purposes, that list was shortened. An exhaustive list of problems with this show could go on for a while. And we also give every show its due, and like to mention anything that the show managed to do right. And in the case of Halo, that comes down to Cortana's voice, which is a no-brainer when they just pulled in the voice actor from the games, seeing Quan die over and over again, even if it wasn't real. The ships looked good and decently cool for the most part. Some of the action was alright from a mindless, generic sci-fi standpoint, and there's plenty of decent, if not awkwardly placed, references to the games, especially sound effects that were accurate. Yes, they were just cheap fan service, but the sound design for that part of the show was spot on. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into the first trick that Halo and its creators tried to pull on us. As with the other shows we've covered in this video series, the first thing to talk about is that the Halo brand existed and thrived long before this show went into production. Beginning in 2001, Halo has been an absolute juggernaut in the gaming industry, releasing 15 titles under the Halo umbrella to date. Now, the latest entries into that video game series have sputtered compared to early installments. In fact, the latest release, Halo Infinite, looks like it should have been named Halo a couple months due to its dwindling player base and the recent news of layoffs by the developer 343. But Halo is a brand that seems able to easily retain longtime fans, many of whom likely had their first next-gen gaming experience pistol-whipping Grunts on the then brand-new Xbox gaming machine. And Halo, like most fantasy worlds should, has a massive collection of books and comics for fans to dive into, fleshing out the Halo universe and allowing for a deep immersion into the lore. So long story short, Halo was a thing that people loved long before March 24th, 2022, when Paramount's TV series Adaptation was released. Now, we've talked about this before, but when you, as a creator, are brought in to adapt an existing story, IP, brand, franchise, whatever, there's a fair give and take between yourself and the existing fan base that's almost certain to consume your new addition to the fantasy world they love and have financially supported. The fans give the creators their soft consent to consume whatever show or movie or game they're going to make, in exchange for the creators' promise to respect the existing bits of story and lore that's come before them, and to produce something resembling that existing content. It's an unspoken understanding between the two sides, and there didn't used to be much of an issue in this regard. Yes, fans were, not that long ago, a bit less concerned with the idea of canon and needing things to fit into a specific box. But the more pervasive issue now is creators setting out to put their own mark on the fantasy world they're in a position to add to. Too many creators see what's come before them as somehow wrong or out of date, or in need of their special style of storytelling that usually ends up being pretty fucking trash. But we're jumping ahead of ourselves a bit. The point is that Halo anything, movie, show, game, is going to pique millions of people's interest no matter the medium, the expectations, the rumors, the comments from the creators, anything. Millions will check it out. The brand name alone is enough to trick people into consuming any Halo product. And you know damn well the showrunners, 343 Industries, Microsoft, Amblin, and Paramount all knew that going into the production of this show. Their mouths would have been salivating at the thought of millions of gamers worldwide gleefully subscribing to Paramount Plus so they can see Master Chief in action. They were so confident all of us would tune in that they shelled out $10 million per episode to produce the show. Now, the goal of this trick was pretty straightforward: to get existing Halo fans to tune into the premiere and to get them subscribed to Paramount Plus. They figured if they could capitalize on that automatic fan buy-in, and if just a fraction of the fans of the games made the leap over to the show, they'd have a huge hit on their hands. Well, did this trick work? Did the Halo brand name bring millions over to Paramount Plus? Unfortunately, yeah, it seems like it did work based on all the data available to us. To begin with, Paramount stated that Halo's premiere broke the streaming service's previous record-high viewership for a premiere. And while they didn't produce any hard numbers, we know that the record broken was 4.9 million viewers for the premiere of 1883, so the number most likely exceeded 5 million. Secondly, shortly after Halo's premiere, Paramount Plus announced rapid growth in their subscription numbers, adding nearly 7 million new subscribers during the quarter when Halo was released. So for all the intents and purposes of this analysis, we have to say that the trick of producing a show on the back of an established franchise worked for Halo. Now, there's two pretty significant caveats that we want to point out here that may be skewing things a bit. First off, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers were given a free 30-day trial for Paramount Plus at the time of the premiere, so that offer certainly inflated the subscriber and viewer counts to some degree. Secondly, and this is the interesting one, Paramount has never produced a single hard number for Halo's viewership that we could find. Not for the premiere, not for any episode, not even for the season as a whole. No numbers of viewers counted by person, by eyeballs, by hours or minutes viewed, nothing. All that they have given us are statements to the effect of, Halo set the premiere viewership record and our sub count went up. That's it. So that means A, we have to take Paramount at their word, and B, the numbers likely weren't overly impressive. Either way, with all of the information available to us, we have to say that the creators here were able to get Halo fans to tune into the show and onto Paramount Plus, meaning that they were successful with this trick. Any way you slice it, millions tuned into the premiere of the Halo TV show, expecting to see the Master Chief they know and love in all his glory, blasting away Covenant at some point in the Halo timeline they'd be familiar with. But they were sorely mistaken, and that leads us to our second trick. The second major way the creators of Halo tried to trick us was by wearing a Halo skin suit. We're going to release a separate video going deeper into the idea of skin suits. But for those unfamiliar with the concept of a skin suit, essentially it's when a show, movie, game, book, or anything really, masquerades as being part of an established franchise, but in reality only has the superficial look of that original property. They've peeled off the skin of that franchise and are wearing it in an attempt to make others believe that they're the same thing. But underneath that fleshy exterior, the soul of the original is missing, and we fans can tell that something's not right as we look into its cold, dead eyes. And the Halo show is a classic skin suit. There are enough trappings on the outside to make you think that the Halo show belongs with the lauded video game franchise and book series. It shares some of the same names, places, characters, weapons, and vehicles we're familiar with, but underneath that ill-fitting skin suit is an unrecognizable, soulless monster. The creators have tried to rationalize their decision to bring this new story into the fold by explaining that this one takes place in its own alternate timeline called the Silver Timeline. But this is just an easy-to-swallow excuse for tricking fans of the brand into watching their own original sci-fi series. And that, in essence, is what makes the idea of a skin suit so utterly disrespectful to existing fans. Intentional or not, they're telling the Halo Nation that they didn't think the original concept was up to their standards, and they think it should be different. Which, in all honesty, is fine if you were just to create a new, original story that deviates from the source material. But when you then market that product to existing fans who want more of what they know and love without owning up to the changes you've made before the premiere, you've crossed the line by dishonestly trying to take their money and waste their time.
So that was a fucking lie.
Fans wanted a live-action Halo show, not your crappy original sci-fi adventure pretending to hail from the Halo universe. With most skin suits, the original idea that creators have chosen to wrap in the dying flesh of the established IP is usually pretty awful, and Halo was no exception. In fact, it's a shining example of the type of crappy story and storytelling with lame characters that people wouldn't have paid for with their time and money if it wasn't shambling around in Halo's skin. For the first season, the creators clearly just wanted to tell their story about a soldier who was a chosen one, meeting his special magic female counterpart from a rival faction, so they can unlock the key to everything. And about Quan being an ancestral protector of some people based on a hallucination she had induced by a poisoned well. But in order to get anyone to watch it, they needed to disguise it as something else, something more popular and well-known. Enter Halo. And to reiterate, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do an original story. We actually prefer original stories, as long as they're good, over the inescapable pattern Hollywood has fallen into of remaking and rebooting every desiccated corpse it can buy the rights to. But when you willingly mislead fans into consuming your product, making them think it's more of something they like, then you've crossed a line and your disrespectful actions deserve all of the backlash you're facing. I mean, Master Chief was in a literal skin suit for half the show. It almost seems like a purposeful, subtle mockery from the creators. And so, like with all examples of a skin suit, the goal was to get existing fans to check out the show, hook them with this new take on the fantasy world, get them coming back each week, and have them lauding this original work with their ratings of the show. So did it work? Were fans watching the premiere and the rest of the season in high numbers, and were they leaving behind rave reviews when it was all over? Well, we're saying there was some mixed success with this trick. We already went over the high premiere numbers and the reported increase in subscriptions that would both indicate early success for the skinsuit trick. But without viewership numbers for the rest of the season, we can't definitively determine how many people stuck around watching the show. So we're left with just the audience ratings from which to make a determination on this front, and for the most part, the ratings were low. Much lower than a show with this budget, existing fan base, and brand recognition should be getting. Halo has just a 52% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.7 on Metacritic. Based on all of those factors, we can say that the second trick of wearing a Halo skinsuit may have worked to get people to tune into the show, but few enjoyed what they were watching. All the warm, fuzzy feelings of revisiting the Halo universe we loved booting up on our Xboxes just couldn't make us like this new take on the things and characters we loved from the games. Speaking of which, that brings us to our third trick, the nostalgia factor. Closely related to the idea of hijacking an established franchise and fantasy world to tell your story, the human desire for nostalgia leads many to overlooking the small inadequacies of something's current state. You still have a desire to visit your childhood home even if the neighborhood's fallen into decline these days. And since we hail from the first generations that were truly raised in front of the television, the shows, movies, and games of our youths are a powerful vessel for delivering those fleeting hits of nostalgia. As mentioned earlier, for many, myself included, Halo was the first truly advanced gaming experience of our lives. It was our first steps away from the mostly childish games and gameplay of the Nintendo 64. It showed us that gaming could be more than just a fun way to pass the time. Games could teleport you away to distant planets, immerse you in an incredible story, and make you feel something. And it was still pretty much as easy as playing the N64. Everything you needed was literally in your hands. And for that reason, Halo was permanently etched into a positive place in many of our memories. It's the reason that the creators of the TV show rightfully knew that millions would give their show a chance, and why they thought they could pass their skinsuit off as part of the brand. But outside of the show's exterior and some cheap moments of fan service, they did nothing to capitalize on those warm, fuzzy feelings we have for the Halo franchise. I mean, really, what do we have left if you strip away that superficial, skin-deep layer of Halo branding? We got a handful of references to weapons in the game, some sound effects ripped from the game, and only 2 instances of that incredible, awe-inspiring, unforgettable Halo music. And that last one is just baffling. How can you justify making a Halo show or movie and not using one of the most powerfully nostalgic elements from the games? That music truly teleports the viewer or the player into the Halo universe, and the creators not using it more in this show makes them nothing short of heretics from a fan's perspective. It's an obvious sign that they were not here to be anything resembling faithful to the source material. Nonetheless, they felt that millions of Halo fans would tune into each episode for their weekly nostalgia-induced dopamine hit. They thought that us seeing live-action Master Chief firing an assault rifle and jumping into a warthog just like we did in the games would be enough fan service to get us watching every week. And to be honest, they might have pulled it off if that's all the show focused on. But they had other plans in mind for the first season. So the goal of attempting to weaponize nostalgia against us viewers was to get us to watch the show and to keep us coming back each week. Were the creators successful with this one? Were people itching in anticipation of every week's new episode? Well, unfortunately, without Paramount's viewership numbers, we'd have to say that there was some mixed success here as well. But our guts tell us that this trick didn't work past getting fans to watch the premiere. We know, roughly, the viewership numbers for the premiere. They were decently high. But we don't know how many people tuned in the next week, or the week after that, and so on. And as such, we're forced to rely on people's opinions of the show that have been shared. Now these tend to skew more negative, as negative feelings about a product tend to generate more impetus to leave public feedback. But even if you correct for that factor, you'd be hard-pressed to find any significant number of Halo fans that liked this show, and thusly, we can assume many tuned out at some point. So while we can't point to any hard data as proof that the show didn't retain the interest and approval of Halo fans, I think we all know how they felt about the show. And for longtime fans, I'm sure it's hard to imagine not wanting to see Master Chief kicking Covenant ass in live action. But when they strip away most of what they liked about the character, what do you expect? And that leads us to our fourth trick. Master Chief has been synonymous with the Halo brand itself since the game first released 22 years ago. He's an icon with a worldwide fan base numbering well into the millions. And that kind of superstardom and recognition comes with a pretty reasonable expectation that in any official Halo product, Master Chief is going to be mostly the same as he's always been. But apparently the creators of this show didn't get the memo. Despite seeing more of his face and body than we've ever seen before, Master Chief was unrecognizable. Much like was the problem with Boba Fett and his show, Master Chief has a badass reputation and a shared history with Halo fans that spans more than 20 years. So when this version of Master Chief shares little more than his name with his video game counterpart, fans have every reason to be upset. It's like making an original show with Scooby-Doo characters where one of them solves her perverted sexual feelings instead of mysteries. Or a Boba Fett show where he would rather negotiate than blast someone. Oh wait. It's dishonesty at its finest to make deep, unwanted changes to an established character for your own works. You're discarding the very things that have made this character popular, and more importantly, profitable, in favor of your unapproved, bastardized, soulless version of them. The Master Chief that we knew, and fell in platonic love with, wore his Mjolnir armor as a second skin. He never would have removed his helmet every 10 seconds. He wouldn't have slept with some prisoner of war. He didn't have any memory loss, and he wouldn't have had any desire to dig into his past. And he sure as shit wasn't some magic key to everything. At least he wasn't until Halo 4, and that change to the character, for many, went over like a lead balloon. In the Halo universe from the games, any human can access the Forerunner technology. But in this anti-fan fiction, Master Chief is magic, and one of two people in the universe who can activate the RGB lights on this MacGuffin. This Master Chief takes his helmet off like he's getting paid to do it. To the point where, in one scene, he runs in and sees everyone debilitated by some sound and holding their ears, and the first thing he does is remove his helmet, something that you'd have to presume was keeping him from suffering the same fate as everyone else. He's out of his armor and in his appropriately named Skinsuit half the time. But even beyond the superficial, they deprived Master Chief of his hyper-vigilant focus. They tried too hard to humanize a character that many didn't want humanized at all. They made him feel lost in the universe. We fans didn't want to watch Master Chief spending almost all his time on an emotional journey of self-discovery. We wanted and expected to see him kicking ass and road-killing grunts woven into an epic story of adventure and heroism. And at the end of the day, he's just an incredible soldier. He's not supposed to be some magic man who's the key to unlocking everything. But the creator's shitty skin-suit-wearing story needed a magic man, and they stupidly decided to sacrifice the one character people wanted to see in all his badass original glory. There were issues with changes to other characters as well. Among other changes, Captain Keyes and his daughter Miranda were race-swapped, which is not even worth talking about at this point. But it's actually kind of strange to race-swap existing characters just to include them in an alternate timeline, which is begging for new characters, but whatever. They completely rewrote Master Chief's connection to Cortana. Now, it's only the first season, and that relationship might evolve in later seasons into something resembling what people wanted to see. But who thought that anyone would want to see the cold, off-putting interactions we got between them? And Halsey had some changes too, but it all just pales in comparison to what they did to Master Chief. With this trick, yet again, the creators aimed to get existing fans watching the show and coming back week in and week out, hoping to see the Master Chief they fell in non-romantic love with. So did they pull this trick off? Well, we run into the same problem of not having the hard data to prove the results of this trick one way or another. So based on what we do have available, we have to say there was mixed success. Millions tuned in, at least for the premiere, hoping to see Master Chief mowing down the Covenant. But Halo fans were quick to go public about their long list of gripes with the show. Opinions of Halo would have been wildly different if they had just had some other character go through the same story arc that Master Chief did, and have our helmeted hero nearby doing his own Master Chiefy business. But instead, we were subjected to this unrecognizable character. That is, at least until the very end of the season finale. Which brings us to our fifth and final trick that Halo tried to pull on us. Halo fans sat through almost the entire first season chanting #NotMyMasterChief. We sat bewildered for almost 9 hours trying to figure out why they would do this to an existing character. a character that was mostly responsible for them being Halo fans in the first place. And then something interesting happened in the finale. On the verge of death and in need of assistance, Master Chief chose to die and be brought back to life by his AI system Cortana, who merged with his consciousness. And just like that, Master Chief became pretty much exactly what we had wanted him to be. He was beating the dicks off of the Covenant with both hands. He was being the demon of legend that kept the Covenant up at night. He was hyper-focused on the task at hand.
Kill-tacular.
He didn't want to sit and chit-chat about his feelings with his squad mates. Referring back to the old Master Chief we know and love, this was a massive deviation from the legacy character. John 117 was a Spartan, endlessly trained and honed into the ultimate fighting machine, who was hyper-focused on the mission and wielded Cortana as a powerful ally and a tool when he needed her to be one. But in this alternate timeline, Master Chief is distracted by alternative chicks and butterflies and trees before ultimately becoming an AI-controlled zombie, blindly carrying out whatever mandate is uploaded to him. So while the version of Master Chief we get at the end of the first season is much closer to the character we know from the games, his path to being that character was vastly different. But in having Master Chief be reborn like this, the creators actually removed a massive roadblock that was keeping fans from liking this show. They brought Master Chief much closer to the character we had wanted to see from the beginning. It was a strange feeling, honestly, because it was an unexpected feeling we didn't think we'd feel at this point in the show. And it was hope. Hope that was unrecognizable based on the entire rest of the season leading up to this point, as well as most other fantasy shows shitting the bed all year long. We can't be sure how fans received this sudden change to the character, but it actually did make us think that maybe quite a few who didn't like the first season would give season 2 a chance, expecting to see the Master Chief they wanted all along. And it was at that moment that we recognized this decision for what it was, just another dirty trick. Because in order to think that the creators will really stick with this change to Master Chief's character, you'd have to think that they're willing to sink the major storyline from the first season, the one that led Master Chief to the Halo mentioned in the title of the show. And we don't see that happening. So we can only see this sudden last-minute character change for the dirty trick it appears to be. The goal here is simple, to get you to come back for season 2 where things will be different, trust us. And with season 2 a long way off, only time will tell if this one worked, so we have to put the success of this trick down as TBD. Let's recap the findings of our investigation, shall we? First off, the creators hijacked an existing brand to score cheap views and immediate fan buy-in when they created a show in the Halo universe. And we determined that this trick was successful, leading to high viewership numbers for the premiere and an uptick in Paramount Plus subscribers. For their second trick, they donned a classic skinsuit to trick fans into thinking they were watching something akin to the video game series they love. We determined this trick had mixed success, as although they achieved high viewership ratings early on, fans weren't happy with what they were watching. Next up, the Halo show tried to stoke those warm, fuzzy feelings of nostalgia to get Halo Nation watching each week. And the evidence doesn't allow us to say they had anything but mixed success here as well, although our guts lead us to believe that this trick only worked for the series premiere. Then the creators dangled a well-liked and long-established character in front of our faces, hoping his presence alone would get us fans tuning back in each week. Without the hard data necessary, it's tough to make a definitive ruling here as well, so we were forced to say this one too had mixed success, as millions still watched the show, but most fans had major problems with Master Chief's portrayal. Lastly, they've tried to trick us fans into tuning in to the next season, on the promise that Master Chief will be different and more in line with how we wanted him portrayed. Unfortunately, it will be a while before we know if this trick worked or not, but personally, we're hoping that one last-minute change for the better isn't enough to make viewers forget the rest of the 9 hours of crap they sat through. So there you have it, the 5 major tricks that the Halo show and its creators tried to pull on us and how successful they were. We also considered 2 other tricks the creators may have tried to pull on us. The marketing, which conveniently skirted the fact that this Halo was taking place in an alternate timeline and was making drastic changes to Master Chief, and the inevitable buzz around their controversial decisions that may have led to more people watching. But we didn't think either of these was a major trick employed in this case. And to think that everything we talked about here is only a fraction of the problems with this show. In a broader review of Halo, this could go on for hours, and they deserve every inch of crap we heap on top of them. And what makes the Halo show really sad is how picky 343 and Microsoft have been in allowing a live-action Halo show or movie to be made. They've been trying to accomplish it since 2005, and they went through reportedly 265 scripts before landing on this shit. It's not entirely unexpected, but it's still saddening to think that the decision makers there held out for 15 years for this show that shares only its name with the vaunted video game franchise. But let us know in the comments below. Any other tricks you think Halo tried to pull on us? Did the last minute change to Master Chief make you more interested in giving Season 2 a shot? Any other shows or movies you think deserve the How They Tried to Trick Us treatment? Let us know. Remember to like the video if you liked it, and click the subscribe button below to catch future entries into the How They Tried to Trick Us video series.
So that's it. It's the Halo.
Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next one.